Hello everybody, my name is Noah Miller, expert in self-care, specialist in exercise prescription. Alright, I want to talk to you quickly about how we got ourselves in this emotional health, mental health challenge. Very easy way to say it is that we've taken too many logical shortcuts, therefore cutting out the emotional health aspect and leaving us in a situation where we don't know how to get back to the original way of looking at things. So our grandparents taking shortcuts, then our grandparents taking shortcuts, then our parents taking shortcuts, leads to a very confusing adult life for us now. We don't know what shortcuts they took, and we don't know how they got there. And in fact, they had different resources which were a lot more solid to navigate those challenges. We don't have the same, let's call it, environment of wisdom. These things are old, they're slow, therefore we've forgotten them. That's the truth. Tough love, that is the truth. So how do we recover something like that? The fact that we're not recovering it is causing the mental health thing, is causing the emotional health thing. If we did something with the right emotional integrity, the outcome would never be stress or burnout or hardship or hate or anger or frustration with somebody. It would be the ability to see yourself in the situation, therefore input a hug instead of judgment. That would be the outcome. So we're on to the challenge of regrowing this force of wisdom needed to put emotion in right perspective. This is, however, just to make a quick note, is what all philosophers worth their weight were always trying to do, to create this environment, this understanding, this outline of the human being that is emotionally healthy. And they generally have a super or peak title to them, greater human. Like all these things are just saying the human that is emotionally mature enough to live life fully. So knowing that, how do we do that with less resources than ever before? Well, the good news is we're a lot more open to doors that would have mentally been shut. We're not using logic so forcefully to solve all problems. Therefore, we have the ability to really dig into and let this emotional wave seep into us. However, we do not have the right steps to do so. We do not have the wisdom there. I'm sure we can cultivate some with our elders now. I'm sure they have some still left in them that we can gain some wisdom from. But ultimately, we're going to have to build a new landscape for our younger generation in a way that is more suited to the Zen of the era. That's a good way to put it. So knowing that we will have to use something other than emotion to put it in place, because you cannot measure emotion by emotion. We need a different thing to oversee all these things happening, to make sure each shrub is put in the right place to have the right emotional effect. And to do so, we will need something other than emotional health. Something a little bit more grounded. Emotional health is very fluid, very liquid. It seems to have very moving parts, very many moving parts. And so we need something a little bit more solid, more real, more substantial to give it anchor. And what would that thing be? This would be essentially the idea of building or fortifying or creating the character of an individual, which used to be a thing. Everybody used to be measured by their character. That was you keeping your word when you say something, you not trying to cheat to get something greater than what you deserve, you doing an honest day's work, you being the man that you should be, or being the nurturing woman that you are, which is also strength and also very strong and grounded, by the way. These things are needed, but have faded. So we would deal with the original style of medicine by Hippocrates. This is going to be the fortification of a person's character. Yeah, no shortcuts there. That is very real stuff and very hard stuff. And therefore, we're going to need some good, slow, mature support throughout this process. Let's not ruin it right out the gate. Let's do our best to put our best foot forward. In this way, working on the character, we limit the steps of actions that are more disorienting than orienting. And this allows us to have experiences that are nurturing to the individual. Once you have a nurturing experience, you cannot unhave it. But if you never have it, you will always be seeking it, and running into clones of the real thing, therefore giving you a lot of disorientation in life. We can get value outside of the hardship lessons. We can get value based on creative effort. This is the kind of mature emotional way to do it. We do it by creation. We do it by a passion for something. We do it by laboring for a love. Or we can do it by default. Life will teach us the hard way, but there's going to be more scar tissue created than needed in that scenario. And the whole idea of that scar tissue is to push you towards the human ability to create, to build, to become better ourselves, be our own life's work of art. And in that way, we relieve that stressor. We are now motivated by something more light, more greater, more playful, less rigid in a way. All right, thank you very much for listening. This is some insight on emotional health based on a self-care perspective. Thank you.